This is Ray, the old school bodybuilder. That was me during the coronavirus lockdown. Over 2 years without going to a gym, trying to utilize home equipment and just a regular old-fashioned skipping rope, chin-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, whatever I could do to keep this old school bodybuilding body in shape. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you today about energy and muscles. Now, this applies to everyone across the board. Men, women, children, bodybuilders, non-bodybuilders. It's like when you come into the bodybuilding world, it's just bodybuilders and everyone else. But this applies to everyone, okay? So, it's pretty much common knowledge. We all have over 600 muscles in our bodies, okay? And, what a lot of people fail to realize is consistency is so important in your diet, in your fluid intake, in your rest, okay? And, also living a clean life as far as not doing drugs or anything like that, alcohol. Stress can kill you. Stress can really kill you quite a bit. Your mindset with stress on the job, hostile environment, toxic environments, things like that. Definitely all of the negatives you definitely want to stay away from, because it can rob you of energy both mentally, spiritually, and physically. Okay, so there are 3 types of muscle tissues. There's cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle, and smooth muscle. This is probably also common knowledge to a lot of bodybuilders. Of course, your cardiac muscle, like your calves and your abs, actually a little bit. Your cardiac muscle takes much, much longer to replenish itself. Okay. Your skeletal muscles, they replenish themselves pretty quickly, and your smooth muscles, they have an infinite supply of regeneration until we get older, of course, or until it gets damaged from alcohol and drug abuse and things like that, smoking cigarettes and crap, just generally putting crap into your body. But all 3 muscle groups all pretty much require certain basic stuff. Potassium, water, salt, okay. Many people just concentrate on all these, especially us bodybuilders, of course. Athletes, your chest, your legs, your back, and your abs. Your skeletal muscles, your legs and your back are your larger groups. Your calves, your abs, they're your more denser muscle groups, okay? And, you got your more sophisticated muscle groups, your shoulders, your pectorals, okay, your glutes, things like that. It's a little more sophisticated muscle group. But again, they all need energy, okay? Everything needs energy, okay? Now, in our over 600 muscle groups, here's the breakdown plus in our body too, okay? People don't realize how vital water is, okay? And a lot of bodybuilders especially make the mistake of forgetting to drink enough water on a steady, consistent, daily basis, okay? And that's the first thing I do, because I always pretty much try to eat a consistent diet, and I always pretty much, eat food. I love food. It's a passion, okay? I love to work out because, it's a way of life for me, and it makes everything else in my life easier. So when I take care of myself, the bottom line is I'm doing it to make everything else in my life easier, and how I look and how strong I am is really just a byproduct. That I don't particularly care about the way I look, and I certainly don't care about the way the world perceives me. That's by far, meaningless, okay? So, of course, it shows here your brain, your blood, your heart, your bones, your liver, and your kidneys all need this percentage of water. with that alone, aside from your muscles, with that alone, that right there, that's life. Water is our life. Okay. Now, of course, your muscles are made up of 75% water, and mostly a lot of times when your certain body parts would absorb the more readily when you're actually dehydrating. But overall, all of these things are affected in your body when you're dehydrated. Okay. Now, let's talk about potassium. How much potassium do we need? Now, let me give you a thing about potassium. Actually, I should have put the other slide first, explaining potassium. Okay, potassium is responsible for what goes on inside your muscle cells. Okay. Now, it shows here on average, like me, I would be from the 51 to 70-year-old. And of course, I have that in common with a 14-year-old. Okay, so it's not really about your mass. It's really about your age and your gender. Of course, when women are pregnant, it's a little bit different. Okay, but certainly when it comes to potassium, people think bananas. Okay, there are a lot of other places to get potassium. Okay, there's potassium rich foods, and this is just a couple of samples. Okay, so basically you're talking, the daily vine. If you want to get the daily value, excuse me, you want to get all of this kind of stuff in you every day. I don't really go by these numbers. Okay, I don't wait until I start feeling bad to take care of myself better. Okay, now these numbers here in milligrams, of course, are only milligrams, 4,700, daily. It seems like a lot because of that 4,700 number, but milligrams are very, very slight. Okay, and again, you can get it from a lot of enriched foods, not just bananas. I mean, bananas is pure potassium. Okay, now there are certain food allergies that people have, me being one of them. If I eat too much bananas, and I love them, I like to put them in my protein shakes as well. I actually, love to put it on, like certain ways that we Italians eat. My dad used to make us bananas with peanut butter sandwiches, So some good carbohydrates, some good protein, and some good fats all in one, and he basically did it because of that, because it was more of a well-balanced thing. Like you could sustain yourself on sandwiches because without eating anything else. And that's actually a great way to keep off the fat. If you only eat sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you might think the bread is fattening. It is, but if that's all you're eating, you'll be below your calorie intake that you need for your energy levels. Okay, but you want to have a well-rounded diet at all times. Really, you really have to. Okay. Now these potassium-rich foods, as you can see, there's more here. Carrot, tomato paste, I eat a bunch of that. Green beans, love them. Okay, all kinds of beans and legumes are so healthy for you. Okay, they're so healthy for you. Okay, and potatoes, I love potatoes too. Spinach, I'll eat it once in a while. But there's other greens like kale and stuff like that are equivalent. Okay. Now it shows you in milligrams here. Now remember, this is just if I take these, these green beans. Me personally, I would, other than the yogurt, I would eat all of this stuff in one plate. Okay. So if you add up all of that, I'm certainly, I meet my potassium levels. Okay. Okay. So now again, I was telling you I should have put this one first. Potassium is food found naturally in many foods as a supplement. Okay, its main role in the body is to help maintain normal levels of fluid, okay, inside our cells. If your muscles are made up of 70% fluid, water, that's your muscles right there. So your muscles are going to use a lot of potassium, okay? Now, sodium is the counterpart. It maintains normal fluid levels outside of the cells. Potassium also helps muscles to contract and supports natural blood pressure. Okay, so with that statement right there, you know potassium is needed in your cardiac muscle as well. Okay, and it works in conjunction with sodium. So it's a push-pull kind of thing. Sodium's on the outside doing its thing. It's maintaining stuff, getting rid of toxics out of your body when you sweat and different things like that. Potassium's on the inside, duking it out, making sure that everything is staying level and what I call pressurized. Okay, you got to pressurize your energy level by giving it food and giving it what you need. Okay, all the nutrients that you need. You're pressurizing your body like blowing up a tire with air, putting gas in a gas tank. Okay. Now, hypokalemia. Okay. There's a symptom when you're low on potassium. The level of potassium in blood is too low. Okay, low potassium levels has many causes. Usually results in vomiting, diarrhea, adrenal gland disorders, or use of diuretics. Okay, now there's diuretics and there's weight loss drugs. Okay, a lot of pills and weight loss drugs have caffeine in it. Okay, also things like caffeine and even eating red meat will dehydrate you. Okay, so you got to be very aware of this. Okay, especially for a guy like me. For example, today, what I do is a lot of times it's mainly because I get lazy, but I know I need to eat. Okay, like today I had 4, and they were small, 4 little steaks for dinner. Now I got waiting in the oven about maybe 10 pork ribs in the oven. I'll have that a little later. Okay. But what I like to do is I like to eat in what I call increments. In other words, today I'll eat my red meats and pork. Tomorrow I eat chicken. And then the next day I'll have like salads and vegetables, salads and fruits. Okay. And then I do mix it all up. Like if I'm by myself, I usually eat like this. If I'm with my family or my wife, I'll usually mix it up. Or if I'm not feeling lazy, then I'll mix it up and I'll have everything on my plate. I'll have, fruit, and I usually eat fruits after. Okay. Certain meals, certain salads, I'll have fruit in it. But I usually have everything on my plate mixed in. Like I'll have, my meats, my vegetables, my legumes, okay, and so forth, my greens. I like to mix it all up. I don't like to do, when it comes to actually having the meals, I love mixing the food up. Okay. Now, where was I reading this? So, a low potassium level can make muscles feel weak, cramp, twitch, or even become paralyzed. And abnormal heart rhythms may develop. Now, I know a lot of guys in the past, well, back in the day, there wasn't too many guys. But when guys started doing it, especially young guys, okay, guys that I went to high school with, they would juice themselves up with, some steroids and not realize how much it was dehydrating them. And it was like they had a heart attack. You take him to the hospital sees that he's all pumped up on juice. And first thing they do, instead of giving him like a cardiac thing, they give him a needle of potassium, okay, and it usually brings him right back. Okay, so symptoms of hypokalemia are constipation, heart palpitations, okay, extreme tiredness and fatigue. Okay, so this is the main thing I want to focus on right here too. Okay, muscle weakness and spasms, tingling and numbness. Well, tingling and numbness, if you get that dehydrated and you're tingling and you're numbing, they're already taking you to the hospital. Okay, now basically, hypokalemia, low potassium levels, okay, in my opinion, goes hand in hand with low water levels as well. Okay. And, if you're a guy like me, I don't, like years ago, we would salt up everything. You get a cheeseburger, you're putting salt on it. Now, that chef just put a bunch of salt on it to give it flavor. But back in the day, people were so, and it could be true today too, people were so hell-bent on salt and pepper on their food that we put it on everything, even after the ingredients were salt and pepper in it when they cooked it. Okay, so there's a lot of places that you go that I've noticed for a long time, because it contributes to heart disease, the salt, if you take too much of it. Okay, and frankly, too much of anything is really no good for you, other than air, So basically, if you're mindful, you can go out and you can see there's not too much salt anywhere on the tables anymore, where it used to be very abundant, okay? But this extreme fatigue, you want to keep, the first thing you want to do, if you know you're having a well-balanced diet, and if you saw some of those images with all that food showing the potassium in it, if you know that you're getting that, you feel fatigued, and you know that you're sleeping enough, okay, or should I say, there's no such thing as sleeping enough, okay. I call it sleeping well. Everybody gauges everything. That's why with the 1 set max system that I devise, you don't put a number on anything. You don't put a number on anything, even though I'm showing you these numbers here just to give you the idea of how to utilize things. In other words, I don't count the reps. Your body doesn't know what 4 sets of 12 is. I don't count the sets. Your body doesn't know what 3 sets of 5 are. Okay, and so forth. Just like we put numbers on our diet and with weighing the food and how many calories here and how many this and that, I go by the way I feel. Okay, and I go by what I think I'm going to need for energy. In other words, if I'm going to go do my legs, I'm going to need a lot of extra calories a couple of days before that. Okay, if I'm going to be on the job and I'm going to move appliances around, or have to crawl in the attic or crawl space or lift something heavy, I'm going to keep a consistent diet according to my caloric output. Okay, that's what you have to judge it by. Okay, all right, now the 3 causes, well, that should be the causes of hypokalemia, actually. Okay, alcohol abuse, of course. I don't drink alcohol, by the way, or smoke, okay? If you got a cardiac or kidney disease, chronic kidney disease, that's a problem, okay? That's, usually genetic diseases and different things like that, okay? Diabetic, okay? Let's see if I can pronounce that word. Ketoacidosis. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's when your body is basically, your insulin levels are off. If you have diarrhea from, different things like a virus, abuse of steroids, okay, abuse of any kind of diuretics as you see down there, okay. If like guys I remember guys that were on the wrestling team, they used to eat laxative to lose weight, to make the weight. Boxers do that stuff. Okay, anywhere that sometimes people are bulimic too, excessive sweating, like today, it was pretty hot out. I was out there, really working really hard, going up and down ladders and stuff like that. And, I sweat profusely. Okay, not to mention, I'm sporting a little fat these days because I ain't been to the gym, and I'm as hairy as an ape. Okay, Now, a folic acid deficiency, that can be on a genetic level also, and that can be a disease as well, okay? Now, the use of steroids, what happens is, when these guys lose energy, they go down for the count, okay? And, of course, nowadays they're just pumping them into the muscle. They want to get bigger. I honestly believe, and I see all of these guys that were, that are natural today. I forget the fella's name. He's the top dog because his genetics, he happens to be a really big guy, and he just basically cut himself up, lifting and doing things. But I honestly believe, first, let me tell you this first, and this is a fact. No matter how many steroids you do, it will not take you past your natural genetic predilect, meaning that genetically you're only going to get so big and so ripped up, okay? But I honestly believe if we started from birth practicing the bodybuilding lifestyle, okay, and there's some other factors in there that you would have to consider as far as lifting heavy weights. You really shouldn't lift heavy weights until you're over 25. Okay, so your bone muscles, your bone caps heal up. Okay, especially in males. But I honestly believe if I had the liberty to take off of work and to work out, and when I was younger, people thought I was on steroids, okay, because I was ahead of my time, even though I was doing it the traditional way of weighing the foods and everything. I was very dedicated, But once I figured it out, okay, if I had the time, in other words, if I didn't have to work for a living, put food on my table and pay my mortgage and stuff like that, there's no doubt in my mind I can reach that potential of someone using steroids. There's no doubt in my mind, So, basically, of course, I certainly don't recommend this. And usually what happens is guys get anxious, they get intimidated, they worry about the way the world sees them, and they want everything now, and they want to be able to do it now, okay? So keep your potassium levels up. Keep a steady, consistent diet, and drink lots of water every single day. Drink lots of water. And remember this, the next time you're feeling fatigued, just start drinking water and see how long it takes you to revive yourself. So this is Ray, the old school bodybuilder. I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe because that's what this YouTube thing tells me to tell you guys. Take care.